Hello, welcome to Load Bearing Beam Soccer Club. This is our review of Thunderbolts Asterisk, its proper title, like it's a member of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Gonna talk about Thunderbolts, first with no spoilers, and then with spoilers, but I felt a little out of my depths. After all, I've only seen every single MCU film, and I still felt lost and adrift during this movie, so I had to bring in the big guns. I'm joined now by my friends, Neophyte Reviews and Screen Time Kota. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you.
What's going on? Appreciate the welcoming.
Yeah. First things first, each of you, as quickly as you can, just tell me where you stand with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, and yourself. What's your relationship with it?
Funny enough, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is actually the reason why I started my review channel. So it's something that I've loved from the beginning. And although there has been some weak points, which I will admit that there have been, I still continue to be faithful. I am Marvel through and through, and I will be there every day, opening day. And yeah, that's where I am right now.
Including all the Disney Plus shows? Are you up to date on all of that?
I am up to date with everything.
Okay, good job. Good. All right, Kota, what about you?
Oh, man. I remember as a kid, I got a box full of comic books just randomly from this guy in our apartment complex. And in those comic books was a bunch of X-Men comics. And that was my first time. I was maybe about 8 years old. And that was my first encounter with X-Men and Marvel Comics in general. And then I remember watching the movies. And I've seen everything. I am a little behind on the Disney Plus shows. But I am pretty up to date on what happened in them. So I know what happened. I just haven't watched them. But all the movies, I like all the movies. Even some of Phase 4 that people didn't like Cough Cough Eternals. I liked Eternals. But yeah, I love Marvel. You know, superhero movies are a lot of fun. It's something to take everybody's got Fast and the Furious. I got superheroes.
I got a question for you. What phase are we in right now?
We are currently in Phase 5.
Yeah,
Phase
we're about
5.
to start Phase 6.
Phase 6. Okay, good. I will note that down for the record. All right. So I too have seen every. I think my reputation is that I'm anti-Marvel, but I was so in love with Marvel for so long, and I think I just drifted away, starting with the pandemic, and I think the Disney Plus shows made it start to feel a little less special. And now when I go back to the Marvel movies that I used to love, like I did Captain America: Winter Soldier recently, and it just didn't play as well. And there's lots of reasons. We can get into them or we could not. They're kind of boring, but it's like I still want to see every movie. I still get excited, but the excitement had been really waning recently. I didn't like Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't like the Marvels. And then when the new Captain America movie came out, I was like, I think this is the first one I'm going to skip. I'm not going to see this one at all. And then I didn't see it. And then the buzz for Thunderbolts was so good, I was like, I think I will go see it. And I went and saw it, and a lot of things confused me. And I was like, I guess that Brave New World movie must have been very crucial. So I actually went and paid the $30 to watch it at home. I have no more understanding of what's going on. So help me out here. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, terrorist, CIA asset, whatever. He's a congressman. He's an elected member of the legislative body of America.
As of right now, he is, but definitely not from the comics.
Yeah, they hint at it. I mean, they kind of hint at that he's something special now in the Brave New World. At the end, because he's wearing a suit and all that. He's got his hair slicked back. Like he's important. You just didn't know.
Well, he says he's running. He says he's running.
Yes, correct. At that moment, he was running. And so I believe there was some time in between that and Thunderbolts.
Well, right. And just by the way, that scene, that's like one of the things that I would point to that irritates me about these movies is he gives Sam Wilson like this motivational speech, and then I always have to immediately undercut it with like, oh, did your speech writers come up with that? And then they have to immediately just like, don't you dare have a sincere moment. Don't you dare have any genuine emotion in these movies. We have to immediately let you know we think this is dumb too. And it's like, no, just own it. Just own it. Let them be emotional together.
I feel like that's definitely one of the biggest critiques about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that there's always a joke right after something
Serious.
meaningful, something depth. But actually, and I guess we'll talk about other MCU films.
Mhm.
It's one of the reasons why, to this day, Thor: Love and Thunder is my least favorite film of all the
interesting.
MCU, because of that reason. Because I felt like it never allowed itself to take anything seriously, especially with Jane Foster's cancer storyline. I feel like it never allowed it to take it seriously.
Is so glib about that. You're so right. For such a serious thing to be so glib about.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, what was it? How do you say his name?
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Okay, that's how you say it. He you know, Ragnarok was amazing. Ragnarok came out of left field and shocked me. I didn't like the first two Thor movies all too much. I was not a big fan of them. Like I've seen Thor The Dark World probably 5 times, and I can't tell you a single part from that movie because I don't remember a single damn thing.
Dark elves.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
So going into Thor Ragnarok, I wasn't expecting much. I walked out of there just so pleasantly surprised, and like I was hurting because I was laughing so much. And I think he took that and was like, everybody loved the comedy. It was the greatest thing ever. And was like, now let's jam 98% of that in this movie and give you guys 2% of seriousness.
Yeah.
Like, Thor: Love and Thunder was a joke. I didn't go see it in theaters. I skipped on that because I heard how bad it was from the reviews and just everybody talking about it. I skipped out on that and waited for streaming, and thank God I did.
Well, I think a very similar thing, and I think so much of this goes back to how this all started, which is with Robert Downey Jr., who has a very, very specific and unique movie star power of being able to undercut himself like that while still letting you know that he's a very like sincere and wounded and emotional person. And I don't think it is so specific to who he is, but they're like, oh, this is the energy all of our movies will have when it's only a specific type of performer who can pull that off, and then specific directors and writers who can work with that. And I think a similar thing happened with Hemsworth, where they're like, this guy's funny, he needs to be funny, and they captured the lightning in a bottle with Ragnarok. This is how you use Thor, and then didn't exactly understand. You have to calibrate it just right because this can get too silly very easily.
It worked with Thor Ragnarok because he had Loki. You know, he had that person to work off of, and then he also had Jeff Goldblum, and then he had Valkyrie, and then you even had Korg. I mean, Korg, and then there was none of that in the second one. There was no balance for Chris Hemsworth to balance off of. All he was balancing off of was just nothing but screaming goats.
Yeah.
That was annoying as hell.
I think what hurt, as kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying, Kota, I think you make a good point. He didn't have, imagine Korg is played by Taika Waititi. So he just kind of, and Korg had much of a bigger role in Love and Thunder versus in Ragnarok.
Way too big.
Yeah, way too big.
Way too
and
big of a
just
role.
Unnecessary.
Yes.
Very unnecessary.
He was in parts that he was not needed.
Right.
I think he should have just been a side character and did the narration, and that's it.
But he popped in the last movie, so they're like, we need more Korg. And when it's the director himself playing it, you're like, yes, oh yeah, great, more Korg.
Yes,
but back to
that's true.
to Bucky and having to undermine, any sincere moment. This is another thing that sort of annoys me, is that people will say that it's this interconnected universe and it's the continuity between movies. But I can watch every movie and still be like, I don't understand Bucky Barnes. I've seen him in 10 movies. I don't think I actually understand who this person is, what drives him, what he believes. And now he's just a congressman. Okay. Cause so everybody's like fungible. You can take anybody and put them in whatever role of the specific script.
Yeah, I agree.
And if we get real with it, but he would have never been in Congress. He was an assassin. Let's just put it there. He was a known assassin. There's no way he passed the background check.
There's a lot of. So I thought that at first, and then I remembered all the actual like former CIA agents who are in Congress right now.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, in my book, being associated with the CIA at all would be disqualifying, not just from Congress but from all jobs. But yeah, I think here it makes sense. I'm more like, why would he want to be in Congress? What does he think he's doing? What is he trying to achieve?
Yeah.
The politics of this world are so muddy. There used to be S.H.I.E.L.D. and when I watched Winter Soldier, I was like, okay, so S.H.I.E.L.D. is the CIA basically. Oh, but the CIA also exists in these movies. And here the CIA is run by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and they're doing bad secret shit. But if we get in charge, we can do good secret shit. And I can't keep track of any of it.
I would say S.H.I.E.L.D. served more of the purpose of like a Sector 8 versus the actual like legit title of the CIA. That's what I would say that they played the part in the MCU.
Well, right. I mean, and then like that, we could be talking for hours about Marvel and like its relationship with the U.S. Department of Defense, because the Department of Defense, I'll never get tired of saying this, they have script approval of Marvel's movies in exchange for Disney getting to use military equipment. They let the military give approval to their scripts, and I think that's pretty fucked up.
I was just
but so there's no.
I just watched a video today where they were talking about the Pentagon pretty much having approval over. They have a whole department in the Pentagon for films.
Oh yeah, I heard about
control
that too.
over films and shit like that. Like, so apparently, like all the war movies go through the Pentagon. Iron Man, Transformers, like it's crazy. Anything that has to deal with a war goes through the Pentagon because they got to make sure the script makes us look like the good guys.
And it's like, if anything gets to be critical of the military or of the intelligence agencies or anything like that, the story always has to be a bad person has infiltrated, and that's the problem.
It's
bad individual actors. It's never that the whole thing just is bad unto itself. And I felt that especially while watching Brave New World, which is probably my least favorite Marvel movie at this point. But let's try to get into Thunderbolts asterisk, a movie that is, I think, the best reviewed movie they've had in a while. So Neo, you first. What are your big picture thoughts on this movie and what you thought of it?
Big picture thoughts of Thunderbolts. It was enjoyable. It of course does have its low points, I would say, especially when it comes to, like, for example, what I mentioned in regards to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Val, not being as villainous as I would have hoped her and I would have wanted her to be. But overall, the story in itself, it having such a deep and meaningful theme to it, with the connection of Bob and Yelena, especially played by Florence Pugh, that I think is what makes it a standout for me.
I have never felt a way about a Marvel movie until this one. Like, this isn't my like favorite Marvel movie of all of them, but I haven't had a Marvel movie that actually did something with mental health and didn't turn it into such a big joke. And it was nice finally being able to watch a movie that's about unrealistic as fuck situations, but you can at least, with this one, if you've been in that situation in your head and such like that, you can really like what's the word I'm thinking of? Like,
you can really relate.
Connection.
It speaks to you. Yeah,
exactly. There you go. And so it was an amazing film.
Yeah, the mental health, I feel a little mixed on that. I feel like it got a lot of things right, and a lot of things that made me think this is being a little too like flippant, although I guess now we're getting into spoiler territory, but I thought that was some of the strongest stuff of the movie. And I feel like Florence Pugh and Lewis Pullman, they're the MVPs of the movie. They're easily the strongest actors.
Yes. 100% agree.
Yeah, my takeaway is that there's a lot to like about this movie, and it's certainly my favorite that I've seen in a while. I think that I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Those are my favorite. Those are my 3 favorite Marvel movies. I did my rankings, and this is definitely, other than Guardians of the Galaxy 3, this is my favorite Marvel movie that has come out in whatever phases we are in. But still, there was a lot that bugged me about it that comes back to stuff that people who are skeptical of Marvel keep pointing at. And for me, a lot of it has to do with, if you watch those Guardians of the Galaxy movies, or you watch James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, which I watched last night again as a comparison, they look so interesting. They're so colorful. Every shot is carefully thought out. And I know people are sick of hearing this, but Marvel movies look so boring. Like, why should the scene of Bucky standing in his kitchen look like the brightness was turned all the way down? Like, this is really basic stuff. And if you don't care about that stuff, like, I understand, but I find it really distracting. The other thing that kind of bugged me about this movie is I didn't necessarily buy this team. I feel like there's only 2 real characters, Florence Pugh and Lewis Pullman, and the others are like, and we're here too. Did you guys feel like this was a strong ensemble?
So I'll go first. I honestly didn't feel that way, especially David Harbour as the comedic relief of the team. I felt that he made himself feel seen.
That's true.
Go ahead.
He does have that nice like emotional moment late in like the third act of the movie. It's just, and I love his his Borat voice. I think it's delightful. But he's also the one doing the thing of like, we are a team, and the others are like, we're not a team. I swear we're not a team. And I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of superhero movies that do this. To be like, we got to be a team, or you got to be a superhero. And they're like, I'm not a hero, I promise. Okay, I'm a hero. We're a team. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Please tell me you watch She-Hulk, because that's one of the biggest things in that show.
Is the I'm not a hero thing?
Yeah, that she doesn't want it. She's so reluctant against it.
No, just be a hero. Just do it.
It's like, I'm gonna be a lawyer.
But going back to the team, for Ghost, I felt like Ghost, while she wasn't very present on the screen, she wasn't very, I guess, standoutish as the rest of the team, I still felt like she was still there. She made herself seen. She had her key moments, but ultimately you have to have a main star at the end of the day, I would say.
Ghost is is Hannah John Common. We last saw, she was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Have we seen her since in any of the shows or anything?
No.
Okay. And we also have Wyatt Russell as the fake Captain America, as John Walker.
How did I forget? How did I forget about him? Oh my goodness.
Fake Captain America. And I remember him, or no, I don't, from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I watched every episode of. And he has a line in this movie where he has to remind us, I was Captain America officially, briefly. There is a lot of like clunky exposition that everybody has to sort of dump at you. Like, in case you don't remember, here's how you know me. But this is another way I'd compare it negatively to the James Gunn movies, is they will just have brand new characters and you get them right away. And they don't need to dump their backstory onto you. You just forge an immediate connection through performance. And maybe it's almost like it's a detriment that these characters have been introduced in other things. Like if they had gotten to debut here, they'd get to pop.
Yeah. And that's one of the problems that even Kevin Feige and Bob Iger recently mentioned, that it seems like they're going to make the TV shows a separate thing from the films altogether. I believe they said the newest show, Vision Quest, is going to be the last one to have any of the major characters from the show, from the films present in the shows. But that's the thing. A lot of people feel that going to see Marvel films, it's like needing to do homework. You need to do your homework in order to know who's this person, why they're important, and yeah, that's understandable.
It's like wrestling. Do either of you ever follow wrestling?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I still to this day do.
Okay, good. If you stop watching for a month or something and you come back, you're like, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Bucky's a congressman now. Well, Kane doesn't wear a mask anymore. Now he's a corporate. He wears a tie. He doesn't speak through a voice box anymore. Yeah. I keep thinking of this as like wrestling, and in some ways, that's why we need to. I think it's very impressive what Marvel Studios has done in keeping up a popular enterprise, putting out 2 or 3 movies a year, and keeping interest going in the same way that wrestling, like WWE, has to produce 2 hours or 4 hours of live television every week, and it just goes and goes and goes. There's no stopping this, and we just have to keep pushing a story forward. But it does feel like wrestling in that way, where I'm like, I show up and I'm like, all the people I used to like aren't here anymore. And now you're like,
yes,
I don't know.
Yes, I completely agree.
I don't understand.
So going back to what you were talking about, kind of feeling the need of the homework, and when it comes to the films, I feel like that's one of the biggest detriments of Disney being under Bob Chapek. And I feel like that's when the quality of the Marvel movies went down. I felt he put more emphasis on quantity versus quality. And I feel that now that Bob Iger is back in that role, I personally feel that you could see the quality or the care for quality in this film compared to Brave New World, for example, or one of the other most recent films, the Marvels as well, even though I enjoyed that film, but you can tell the difference.
Well, what do y'all think of, do you think it's a good thing to not mingle the TV shows with the movies?
I think it's good that they're going to stop doing that, because even though I'm up to date on what's going on in them and not without watching them, a lot of people aren't. So like he said, everybody, going to a Marvel movie sometimes feels like you have to do a lot of homework if you're not up to date with them. You got to do either watch the shows or watch the movies that you miss out on, or just read about them real quick to get up to date. So I think if they stop doing that and just focus on just solely putting all their efforts into bringing the Marvel's movies MCU back to its roots when it was good, I think it would benefit a lot more.
Yeah, I would say, jumping in real quick, I'm not sure if you guys saw Daredevil Born Again, but Daredevil Born Again, no,
Matt, it's fantastic.
It was fantastic.
No, I've heard
and
it's
I feel
great.
like
I'm sure it's great.
It is. It really is. I feel like
I can't watch anything. I have no time to. I have so many shows I have to watch.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, I would say the way that they sort of centralized Daredevil Born Again, you didn't have any huge actors from the films. It felt very centralized. It felt very, while mind you, they did mention Spider-Man, not by name, but for one in one of the moments, Mayor Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, said, "We can't have a guy that's dressed in a spider outfit running around New York City, essentially." But even with that mention, it still felt enough centralized, where you don't need to connect it to the major films. It works on its own.
But it's funny how that was what they did for years, was they had the Marvel Netflix shows that had their own continuity, that maybe it was part of the MCU, maybe it wasn't. It was hard to tell. And there was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Peggy Carter and all that stuff. And then they're like, no, it's all connected. And now they're going back again. But that's also what wrestling does all the time. Wrestling will have its 2 shows and they're like, we have Raw and SmackDown, and you're either on Raw or you're on SmackDown. And they're like, nope, now you get to go between. And they'll do that for a while and then they'll go right back to it. And you can just keep doing this. Shake the sand shaker and reset all of this. It is funny. The wrestling connection really, really goes really deep.
I really like that, Matt. I would have never thought about it like that.
Or maybe it's like because I didn't grow up reading comic books. People who know comics really well would be like, it's not wrestling, it's comics. That's what comic books do. Because with comics, a new issue has to come out every month, no matter what.
Yeah, that's right.
But I guess that it's like, even if there's a 24 episode TV show where the characters are up to something, the movie should be strong enough where I can get everything I need to know just by watching the movie. And maybe that's what I'm not getting. And I don't know who's, whether there's too much story, to put on all of these characters' shoulders, or if it's literally just like the Marvel color palette means everybody kind of looks the same. Again, compare it to the James Gunn movies where everybody sort of has their own distinct color and look, and it's very specific attributes. It's very broad colors. Here, I'm like, I don't know what fake Captain America does. I don't know what his powers are. I think I remember that the Ghost can teleport or whatever. Yeah. Like, I feel like this should just be easier for somebody who has seen every movie to be able to track. But I feel like this isn't a problem for you guys. Like this all made like both like logical sense and emotional sense because y'all really like the movie.
Of course, yeah. Well, going back to what you just mentioned, Matt, in regards to how, at least design-wise, the characters look the same. And that's actually one of the biggest critiques that I've recently heard about the costumes, that it all looks like they're being made by the same person. Even though, for example, the Guardians are in outer space, how is it that their costumes look so similar to someone on Earth?
It's like they have the same costume department. It's almost like that.
Yeah.
So the plot of this movie is that the Thunderbolt. Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask both of you. The Thunderbolts in comics. Do you have any like relationship with them going into this movie?
So I have some knowledge to it. I do know for sure the roster in the MCU, obviously from this film, is not at all what we see in the comics. Maybe Bucky is one of the mainstays in the Thunderbolts, and another character that I don't think it would be a spoiler to mention. But actually the assistant, Val's assistant, if you notice, she's wearing a little necklace with a bird. She's actually a songbird in the comics, and she's a mainstay on the Thunderbolts.
I assumed. I figure every single person on the screen is somebody.
Yeah, at some point or another.
Especially in a Marvel movie.
So, I mean, the plot of the movie is that you have this villainous Julia Louis-Dreyfus CIA director who's getting impeached, and Wendell Pierce is leading the investigation. Wendell Pierce doesn't get much to do, but he has my favorite line in the movie where he says, like, to the Winter Soldier, he's like, "Don't worry, my team's on it. We're preparing a great packet." I just love it.
Read the packet.
Yeah, they're going to impeach the CIA director for doing, I don't know what, secret missions. I feel like all these movies have secret missions that are either good or evil or somewhere in between. And the superheroes either work with them or for the government or not for the government. That's another thing I've always had difficulty tracking. Do the Avengers work for the government? Do they work for Tony Stark? I don't know. Is this important? I don't know, but I get distracted while I'm watching the movie, trying to figure it out. And Yelena, who's the lead of the movie, Florence Pugh, and I think that she's one of the best actors in the world right now, and I think that she does a good job of carrying this movie in this kind of ridiculous Russian accent that I totally buy. I'm grateful that they didn't make her like with Scarlet Witch, slowly get rid of that accent movie by movie. Like, can we get this? Can you sound 30% less Russian, Florence, in this movie? No, she just keeps it up, and I like that. That she ends up on this mission and finds out she's getting rat fucked by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and stumbles into the other, to Wyatt Russell and Ghost and Lewis Pullman is Bob, and then they're like, we should be a team. No, we shouldn't, but they're gonna be a team. Do we have like any individual sequences that you guys really liked? I will say I think that the idea of them all going back to back and having to climb up that like silo, I thought that was a really, really fun idea.
The elevator, the elevator shaft, it was funny. For me personally, the scene It's actually at the opening. It's after Florence's character jumps off the building. It's when she's fighting the agents in the hallway. I really liked the fact that it was shot from above and the use of shadows. I feel like they put a lot of emphasis on the shadows, which is, of course, foreshadowing to what's to come. But I thought that was one of the standouts for me when I was watching it. I was like, wow, like it was incredible.
It's not early. I really like just the scene with her and Yelena and her dad at the end. I really like the whole speech of talking about, you know, the loneliness and such. That's by far still my favorite scene. Even though it's in the trailer, it's still one of my favorite scenes.
That's in the trailer?
Yeah, well, not the whole scene, but, you know, a portion of it.
This is a really emotional movie I'm going to go see this weekend. Sorry, I don't remember the Black Widow movie at all. So her mom was Rachel Weisz, right?
Yes.
She dead? She dead canonically?
She's not dead. No, she's not dead. There were reports that David Harbour wants to bring her back wants her to be brought back. I mean,
yeah, everybody's coming back. Everybody will be back. Liv Tyler came back to talk to her dad, who's not the same actor who played her dad back in the day. Yeah, you'll all be back. No one escapes.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention this movie was directed by Jake Schreier. We'll all name our top 5 Jake Schreier movies later on. But no, I'd never heard of Jake Schreier. He is the director of.
I was about to say. I was like, "What? That was
Paper Towns," a movie that my sister liked as a youth, and I don't know. He seems like I don't know who this guy is. He seems like one of the Marvel's thing of we pluck directors sort of out of obscurity because they won't step out of line. Co-written by Eric Pearson, who writes many Marvel movies, and Joanna Callow, who writes for TV for like The Bear and for Hacks. And that too is the Marvel standard thing, is we get a person who knows franchises and then we get a person to, like, I don't know, make it kind of funny. And that's kind of the house style. And that's also the thing that is sort of grating on me, is that back in the day that you had these individual filmmakers, who weren't given like total free reign, but James Gunn got to make a James Gunn movie. Ryan Coogler got to make a Ryan Coogler movie. Joss Whedon, even though he stinks, got to do what he wanted to do. But they're like, those days are gone. We're not doing that anymore. If you weren't already here, we're not going to let you put your own stamp on it. And I think that really is the thing. Like, all I really care about is movies. I just want to see good movies. And I want them to feel big and important. And so that's the thing that kind of depresses me more than anything, is that it feels more like TV than movies. But yeah, I just realized we'd not actually mentioned who made this movie, but that's them. That's who made the movie. My favorite sequence. So I really like the idea of them having to work together by going back to back to back and then never having figured out how we're actually going to get out of here. But I feel like they get out of it a little too easily.
Yeah. I would have hoped for maybe a little bit of more of an obstacle for them.
Yeah. And this sort of arc of them becoming uneasy allies, but coming together, realizing they're all broken. I just feel like I've seen it already in Guardians of the Galaxy and saw it better there. But this is fun, and these are likable actors. Why do you guys like Wyatt Russell as an actor?
I like him as an actor, but not so much as Dollar General Captain America.
I do enjoy Wyatt Russell as an actor, and having watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I did not like him as John Walker during that series, but this movie definitely made me like him.
I feel like I've been hearing about him for so long. I feel like there's Kurt Russell is one of my favorite actors, and all I can really do is think like, oh, you're not your dad. But, I like Kurt Russell so much that even hearing you kind of say, I'm Captain America, I think. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But I feel like I've been hearing about Wyatt Russell for so long. I don't know. I'm waiting to see what everybody else is seeing.
I'll always remember him from 22 Jump Street.
I've never seen 22 Jump Street. I've seen 21 Jump Street
What?
many times. I should go ahead and see it.
Dude, 22 is still as funny as the first one. I like them both. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still a solid sequel.
That first one filmed at Lacey's high school. It's very strange to see.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And just filmed in New Orleans. So it's got that distracting thing of like, I'm watching it and I'm like, that road doesn't lead there. No, that doesn't make any damn sense. Now you're on this bridge. That bridge doesn't go there. Do we want to shift over into spoiler territory?
Yeah, I think we can.
Get the rest of this episode about Thunderbolts and the MCU in general by going to patreon.com/loadbearingbeams and subscribing to Load Bearing Beams Collector's Edition for $5 a month.